Okay, there we go. Good morning, everybody. You can't make any noise because I've already muted everybody. All right. We are very fortunate today on this 18th of April. Already the 18th of April. Okay, and I hear a bunch of people coming on now. See the numbers clicking up, so good. We have a great interview today. We have Mr. Avi Dan-Goor from the Summerlin branch. Avi, please hit *6 on your phone so then we can hear you. *6.
I think it worked.
There he is. And you can hear them.
There
What did
I
I tell
am.
you? There's already like 12, 15 people on. It'll get more and more and more as we go on. And then this interview is on my podcast forever, just like your last one is from, about a year and a half ago. So anyway, Avi, tell us a little about yourself, how long you've been in the business, all that good stuff. Maybe a little bit last year, too.
So hi, good morning, everyone. I have been in the business for going on 16 years now. Been with, Berkshire Hathaway all along. Well, formerly Prudential.
Right.
Things are good. Just doing my thing, staying busy. Love what I do. Love the people I work with. It's been, I'm sure, as everyone else has had great couple of years. And we all share the same struggles these days of inventory levels. But overall, things are great.
Yes, they are. And how did you do last year? What was your, just give them an idea of what you do from a transaction production standpoint would be great if you could.
So last year I did 44.5 million in volume. I believe it was 58 transactions, maybe 57 transactions. I'm sorry. And it seems that this year I'm on track to do more. So that's exciting.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. Great year.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's been nonstop.
It's very, very, very consistent. Ever since I've been with the company 8 years, you're always in that top group, killing it. So good stuff. So what does this current market say to you? Like, where do you think we're going, and what do you think is going to be happening this year?
Oh wow, that is a loaded question, and I feel like nobody really knows the answer to that, including the biggest experts. So it's everybody's most educated guess that we can make, and I personally don't think things are going to drastically change this year. Certainly don't. Again, this is my personal, professional opinion. I would say don't buy into a bubble or a crash or anything like that. I think my view is that Las Vegas has been undervalued for so long with the prices of real estate relative to what you get in the city, the quality of life, the affordability of lifestyle here, proximity, accessibility, whatever. So I do think there's no doubt there will be some sort of a correction, if you want to call it, but I think we're going to settle into somewhat of the new norm of, call it, higher prices in Vegas for years to come, just because it was just undervalued. But again, that's my personal opinion. I don't really think anybody knows. So that's where I see things going. I don't foresee anything drastically changing. Maybe here and there, like the last couple of years, you'll have a slower month where we think change is coming, and then, it comes back with a vengeance.
Yes. Okay, cool. No, I agree. I agree with everything you just said, and I would just add that one of the reasons it's been undervalued, and one of the reasons why the appreciation is going so fast. It's like second in the country second with a whole bunch of other states, but Arizona is number one, because Arizona is also, when I say Arizona, I mean Scottsdale, Phoenix, because that is the number one destination for people leaving California, and we're number two destination.
Right.
And it's not that far off, right? And so when they sell their house and they come here, it's like a bargain, and that's why, the appreciation is, I think even if the appreciation nationally slows down, I think will continue for a while until you go, well, I'm leaving California. Is Arizona or Nevada still such a great deal? And it's not even close to there yet, but I agree with that. And I think, Avi, that's why you notice.
It's creeping up.
Go ahead. Yeah.
It's creeping up towards California, and it becomes and that's it's a great thing for the city, and it's somewhat of a sad thing for many people that, they can't afford living here anymore. They can't afford buying. I mean, if you're a first-time home buyer looking to put a low down payment, good luck. And that's unfortunate. But, I think we're slowly moving towards being the California and New York of, you may live here for many, many years and just have to rent. But I think it's a long time coming, personally, for the city. And I think it's here to stay for a while.
I would have to agree with you 100%. I agree with that 100%. And that's why I think you see, think about this now. Well, first off, if this market was going to slow down, a pandemic would have probably done something. It didn't. And then now what? Since the end of last year, rates have gone up like 2 percentage points, and still no one's even talking about it, really, right?
Yeah. Vegas has always been its own little bubble, good and bad. When things were bad, it got really bad here and became one of the worst places in the country. And I think now, finally, it's redemption time for the city, and it's just better than a lot of other places. So, I think we've always been somewhat isolated in our market here.
Yeah, I agree. But, like somebody like yourself who does business, a certain way, like, why don't we go through that? Tell them a little, I love the story about when we did our first video here when, I asked you one question. Since I've been here, Avi, you do incredible business, and I know 90% of it comes from your sphere. Why do they keep using you? You remember that?
Sure.
And then you got a call right after from somebody, and you it was kind of a neat little thing that happened as far as somebody calling you to list, and they told you we're listing with you because we saw your video. That was such a great
because they were
thing
just in awe of how handsome you were in the video, Rick Berube.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, okay. That's what it was. No, Avi, they called you. They didn't call me.
Oh, that's right. Yes. No, I do remember, and thank you for doing that with me over the years. I don't know that there's a secret or a magic trick or, one of the things I've always been really cognizant of in my business is relationships and guarding those as if they were the most precious thing, and they almost are in my life, aside from my family. So to me, it was very important to, call it identifying my own lane in the business, and my lane, meaning my strength, was and is in people and relationships, and keeping those very close to me, and always navigating and finding a way to keep it fresh and exciting, that in a way that's not boring for me when I reach out to clients, and also not boring for them. It's like, oh, here we go again. Avi is asking, how are you? What do you need me to do? So it's a work in progress, even after 15 years of trying to come up with creative ways to keep in touch with, I don't even call them clients anymore. They're all in a way my friends, my extended family. And I think it's looking at it that way that made a difference for me. But at the same time, that's not a method that's going to work for everybody. Again, it's going back to picking my own lane and my strengths, and really working on that and continuing to strengthen that. Some other agents are really good with cold calling or things that are, call it different methods of contact. And that's just not my strength. It's not what makes me happy. And so it took a lot of work on myself, I would say, to get to a point where, meeting clients for coffee and talking on the phone is not a waste of time. I think in the beginning stages of my career, I kept thinking, well, if I'm not at the office or if I'm not doing an open house, I'm not working. And it took a while to realize that, sitting for coffee with a client, that is work. That is networking. That is, prospecting. And so, that's what I do. It sounds fun, and it actually is fun for the most part.
Yeah, and you do your events too. So tell them, I know you love dogs. You have 2 wonderful dogs, 2 now, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And you do your.
Yeah, so
tell them about
my park events with clients. and again, trying to always think of creative ways to keep in touch with people and not make it awkward. One of the things I've always prided myself on was that I'm a yes man when it comes to business. And so it doesn't matter price point. It doesn't matter nothing, business is business. And so trying to come up with some sort of a client appreciation event or party over the years, it was a struggle for me because I didn't see how people would all fit in one room with, cocktails and food. And I always worried that it would be awkward, and I didn't want to create certain events for certain people in certain from certain walks of life. And then I thought, you know what? I love dogs. I love coffee. Why don't we combine the two? So a couple of years ago, we started Bark and Brew at the park. And basically, it's bringing people, clients, whomever they want to bring, whether you have a dog or not, come hang out at the park with us, have some coffee, smoothie, pastries on me. We have gift bags for the dogs. And it's a social event, and it's the dogs are clearly the icebreakers. So people have a common denominator when they mingle. And surprisingly or not, it always brings in new business for me, whether it's a stranger walking around the park and just wondering, what are we doing? And I invite them to have a cup of coffee, and then keep in touch, get a business card, get on the mailing list. And I've gotten listings, I've gotten buyers, I've had clients who brought friends who became clients. And so, it's certainly a niche thing, because not everybody is a dog person, but for me that worked,
Right. Well, everybody, and that's such a great point. Like when you do social media, I know you do a lot of great videos, you do pictures. You've got Caitlin on your team now, and I see you do some great stuff with that. But you're not going to gel with everybody. Some people, like you said, are going to love you. Some people aren't, and everybody has that quality about them that like you have people unfriend you, but then you have people friend you. And then you have this group that eventually sticks. So it's like right, it's like anything else.
Yeah, and what you just said is key. Not everybody's going to like you or love you, and it's okay. And I think knowing that in the business is power, because I think as salespeople, we all, we want to be liked by everyone and approved by everyone. And at the end of the day, one of the best things that I've experienced recently was I became a buyer myself, in another market that was completely unfamiliar to me for investment purposes. And it was a very good experience. Going into it, I didn't expect it, but call it shopping for a realtor in another market was great for me, because I never stopped and thought, okay, if I, am a buyer, what do I need? With all the years of experience that I have in this business, what kind of realtor would be the best fit for me? And, it's almost like I'm probably the worst buyer out there because of how many years we've been doing this. And, but it was a great practice for me to put myself in a buyer's shoes and then see what they see. Because, when they come to us, we have our, call it, spiel that we do to every buyer. Well, every buyer needs something else, and we need to become what they need us to be. And it was just, in some ways, it was eye-opening. And, wow, we do a great job because we respond to things very quickly. Or, holy crap, we're not doing enough. Like this agent in, call it, Alabama was amazing. So, it's all about not taking it personal and realizing that at the end of the day, if somebody doesn't want to do business with you, it's not a personal thing. It's a personality thing. We all need to get what we need to get from the person who's representing us. Right.
Such a great point. Yeah. Yeah. And we probably, especially somebody who knows what they're doing like you probably make a very high maintenance buyer in another market.
Oh, yeah.
Just guessing.
Oh, yeah. It's a yes and no. I mean, I respect the professionals and I let them do their thing, but I do ask a lot of questions. But again, it was a great and unexpected lesson and practice for me. I will tell you this much: I do make the worst seller. I'm a nervous seller. I'm like a first time seller. So it's interesting, but all part of the process, all part of learning.
Cool. No, I love it. I love it. And you said something earlier that I just want to touch on briefly. You said, last year you did 44, I think you did 44.5 million. And this year you're on and that's 57 transactions, which is awesome. Congratulations. And you feel like you're out of the gate a little hotter this year?
Yes, but and again, that's just my own way of doing things in tracking how I do business. I don't necessarily track it month by month or week by week, and my goal setting is very different than call it the usual. Right now, if things continue the way they are, then yes, I'm on track to having a better year than last year. And I want to believe, that I will. And at the end of the day, I've always had that mentality of slow and steady wins the race. So while I would love to do 150, I'm realistic about what I'm able to do within what I want to have some balance in my life and all that. So to me, a $100,000 growth in volume is still growth.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even last year you averaged over a closing a week, and I think a lot of people on this call would love to be in that position. So let's segue right into that. And I know, when you started in the business, you worked with Florence for a while, and I know you have some really wonderful traits that you have from her and so forth. But if you were, let's just ask it like this: top 3 things you would tell them to consider to be successful as a real estate agent.
I would say, number 1, identify your strengths. Know what you're good at and work on mastering that, because I think a mistake that a lot of agents, particularly new, make is trying to grab things that are coming at them from every which direction. So, it's ideas and all kinds of plans and programs. And what happens is a lot of times you just get overwhelmed and you don't end up doing any of that. So for me, like I said earlier, it was realizing that, cold calling, door knocking, expired calling, all those things are not my forte, nor are they things that I truly enjoy. For me, it was identifying the fact that I'm good with people, that I'm good at keeping in touch, and that I'm a social being. So pick your lane, call it. Pick your lane, pick your strengths, and work on that. So that would be number 1. Number 2, what was the question? No, I remember.
What was it? Top 3.
So, pick your strengths. I would say, it's going to sound a little cheesy, but try to have fun and create balance in your life. I think we all get in bad habits in this business of letting work consume us and overwhelm us and take over every aspect of our lives. And for me, a really big focus in the last 3 years has been finding balance. And it doesn't mean working less. It means working smarter and having boundaries. And I think, most of the decisions that we make, stem from mostly, fear or concern. And I think that the fear that, if I don't pick up the phone or if I shut my phone off on a certain time, people are going to go elsewhere. But I've realized for myself that when I do have balance, I'm able to better service my clients. I'm able to be a better version of myself. And when I don't have balance, I'm not being fair to them because I'm irritable, I'm overworked, I'm exhausted, I'm impatient. And so I would say that would be number 2.
Okay. Have fun and create balance. I love it.
Yeah. And truthfully, I didn't really think those through before our call. So I'm kind of on the spot, but those are things that have worked for me. And so, so is this for new agents or agents in general? I would imagine newer, right?
Yeah, well, both, because I think that some people that have been in the business for a while need to graduate and they want to go to the next level, and that's why they're in coaching and so forth. But how about this? Talk about so let's say number 3 is the sphere, because I know you're the sphere master. So give us an idea of, and I know you do your events and so forth, but how do you, you mentioned how, they become friends and they're like
Yes.
extended family now. So let's talk a little
Okay,
bit
so
about that.
that would become
Yeah.
yeah, that would become the third thing is as
Yeah.
to sum it up, I would just say keep in touch,
Yeah.
and again, I don't think there's a trick to it. It's just I think a lot of agents are fearful that they're going to be nagging, that they're going to be maybe hung up on or rejected if they reach out because they make the mistake of thinking that it always has to be about real estate. And this also, I've always told this to lenders that I've worked with over the years because I think they fail miserably at keeping in touch with past clients. It's a very rare thing to have a person say, oh yeah, I'm going to use the same person that did my mortgage last time. They barely remember the institution, not to mention the person's name. And so when it comes to real estate, one of my biggest fears has always been, you, Rick, bumping into a person that moved here 4 years ago and you ask them, oh, who is your realtor? And they start mumbling. It's like, this guy, shoot, what's his name? I don't remember. That to me is the kiss of death. If one of my clients forgets my name, whether it's last year, 2 months ago, or 12 years ago, that to me is a guiding thought. I've always wanted people to think real estate, and then it's like an association game. What do you think when you think of real estate, Avi? And like I said, finding the balance in reaching out and what the content would be when I reach out has always been the $1 million question. But for me, it's simply it's realizing over the years what is the preferred method of contact for every person, and whether it's text, whether it's email, whether it's a phone call, whether it's a handwritten letter. I make a point to write all my birthday cards, much like Mark Stark does his phone calls. I do phone calls on birthdays, but I also send a handwritten birthday card to each and every one. I change them every year so it doesn't look like it's, mass produced. And I got to tell you, every year people make a point to say, oh my God, you sent me a card on my birthday. You remember me. Of course we want them all to be friends, but it doesn't always work. But we always want to keep them on our side. So I would say find a balance with keeping in touch, and don't be afraid of it. At the end of the day, if you have a client for a couple of years, when you reach out, you don't need to talk about real estate. It's obvious what they do. They don't, you don't need to say what is going on and do you have any real estate needs, because that just sounds cheesy. They know what you do. They know who you are. Just keep in touch. Be yourself. Make it, I think a lot of times with professionals, we try so hard to be professional that we don't break that barrier of being personal. And a lot of times clients want to know more about us on a personal level. So I think making the point of contact more about, what, let's go to coffee. Let me tell you more about my life if you want to hear, or, you find the tone and the voice that makes you comfortable. But that's just been my call it, specialty. I don't know.
No, definitely. Yeah, you take them to dinner. You guys meet for wine. You meet for coffee. You do all kinds of stuff. They become your friends. And just because I know they're thinking this, Avi, I'm going to ask you the question. How many people would you say you have in that group? What's the number?
Truthfully, I don't know. I can estimate. And we all have our favorites, even within clients. We have but I don't, I treat them all equally. And so I would say the people that I reach out to, call it regularly, within a year's time frame, I would say about 300 core people.
Okay. And those are the ones that get birthday cards from you and all that.
Yeah. And, people move away, and sometimes you just don't sometimes, and it goes back to what we said earlier, it's just not the right fit from a personality standpoint.
Right.
So you were able to successfully accomplish and complete a real estate transaction, but for some reason They're not going to answer your call. They're not going to be your friends. They're not going to be open to ever getting anything from you, and they're not going to be loyal to you, and that's okay. And so those people, after once or twice, I kind of get the hint, and I drop them from my list. And it's focusing on the as Mark says, it's focus on the important few, whether few is 5 or 1,000, instead of the the less important many.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You try to spread yourself too thin. You don't make it with anybody, and the whole thing trying to be everything to everybody ends up just getting everybody mad. You're much better off being streamlined with a grunt. And then these same people, do you make sure that like you're all connected? Like we're friends on Facebook, we're connected on Instagram.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And that and when they refer me any business, I always make sure I buy them a gift and I send a thank you card. I don't forget the people, and I make it a point to make it personal by dropping something off, or it's not about overdoing it. It's about the thought that counts. And as much as I'm appreciative that they think of me when they refer me business, I know that they want me to think of them when it's time to say thank you. And so I don't take any of that for granted.
That's awesome. I love it. Okay. So, now we're just about done. And,
All right.
So is there anything that you wanted to mention to them that I didn't ask you?
I don't think so. I feel like we've covered a lot, and I hope I didn't sound like a broken record. And no, I think we're good.
Now I know. Thank you very much. I know that Milo is your golden, but what's the other guy's name?
His name is Hank.
Hank. Is he a Jack Russell
Yes.
Terrier?
He
That's
is a rat,
okay, good.
Jack Russell, mutt, terrier, fox, cat, whatever you want to call it. He's a mix of a million things. He's a shelter dog, and yeah, he's giving me a hard time, but I will, he's a great boy.
He's a cute. It looks like they get along well, those two.
Oh yeah, best friends.
All right, my man. Well, Avi, I just want to say thank you very much for myself and everybody on this call today, and everybody that listens to the podcast in the future. Thank you very much for taking your time out today, my man.
Anytime. Have a great week.
You too. We'll talk soon. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.